Good evening. My name is Michael Randolph, and I'm the CEO for the Center for Nonprofit and Community Development. My background includes over 35 years working in the nonprofit sector. Tonight's presentation is of one of the nonprofits, one of the workshops, professional workshops that we provide. Tonight's workshop or conversation is going to talk about the 3 stages of a nonprofit. Contrary to popular belief, starting a nonprofit that is starting the legal paperwork to get your status as a nonprofit is just the beginning. Let's talk about the state of nonprofits. According to Forbes, 50% of nonprofits will fail within the first 12 months of operations. Added to that, over 76% of Black-led organizations operate a budget of less than $500,000. And nearly 1/3 of Black nonprofits operate with just a $30,000 budget or less. These organizations primarily make up of volunteers. 43% of the organization operate without a full-time employee. 45% have no paid part-time employees. Over 75% of white nonprofits report 1/3. Let me read that again. Over 75% of white nonprofits report having at least one full-time employee. When it comes to Black nonprofits, only 17% report having at least one full-time Black employee. So let's dive into why is this the case by talking about the 3 stages of a nonprofit. But let me just give a little background about us and what we did before we go there. So I started the Center for Nonprofit and Community Development in 2011 to provide technical support to nonprofits. We specialize in developing neighborhood planning and economic development initiatives in some of the most poverty-stricken communities in the United States. Our focus is on creating a national model and best practice approach. A little bit of information about us. To date, we have provided technical assistance in terms of training to over 3,500 nonprofits, government agencies, faith-based groups, businesses, and individuals. Added to that, we have assisted over 350 new nonprofits get started by providing them with the assistance in terms of the paperwork and documents to start that nonprofit. These 350 nonprofits that we work with come from over 20 states, from California to Philly, Baltimore, Florida, Georgia, New York, New Jersey, and Michigan, and beyond. In Florida, we operate in some of the most largest counties in Florida. We specialize by providing a holistic approach in terms of our service. So we specialize in grant development and workshop, business proposal, community organizing and mobilizing, and community buy-in, community strategic and technical planning, preparation for the 501c3, and program development. In terms of program development, we work with organizations to create fundable programs that will be funded. In addition to that, we also provide assistance in community and economic development initiatives. So let's move on. Our mission as a nonprofit is to provide innovative, practical, and top quality products and services that save time and improve the nonprofit operation. We strengthen organizations that strengthen communities. Let's start to talk about the 3 stages of a nonprofit. Let's start by talking about stage 1. In stage 1 of the nonprofit, we call it the emerging stage. This is when you begin to put together your paperwork in order to be certified as a nonprofit. That means putting together your bylaws, putting together your articles of incorporation, putting together your conflict of interest policy, filing with the federal government to get your 501c3 status. Once you get your 501c3 status, then you want to go back and get your state exemption. All charitable organizations and sponsors must apply for your ability to accept donations from the from people. So this is called the this form is called, give me a second, now this one brain dead. This is what happened when you go online. This is called your solicitation. In order to solicit donations or funding, every organization must file with the state to get its license to operate as a nonprofit. And then, of course, you have to get your federal ID number, your EIN number, as it's called. This is called the emerging stage. This is when you begin to put together all the paperwork to start your nonprofit. Contrary to popular belief, that's the beginning to reaching your goal of eventually being funded as a nonprofit. Let's talk about the second stage as you begin to think about how do I move from starting a nonprofit to operating a nonprofit to funding a nonprofit. Stage 2. In stage 2 of the nonprofit, or we call this the second stage for the nonprofit. This is what we call the intermediate stage of the nonprofit. This is when you begin to put together your resource development piece. That is, what staff do you want? What are the qualifications that they have to have? What are you going to pay them? And things of that nature relation. And who is the staff you need in order to make the organization work? This Stage two, upper board training. This is when you want to get that board training because when you're going after funding, they want to know that board's being trained every year. One of the most critical stages of the nonprofit related to the second stage of a nonprofit is put together the policies and procedures for your organization. That can go anywhere from your financial manual to your conflict of interest, to your employee manual, and across the board, those critical documents that you need in order to show that you are a structured nonprofit. And of course, you have to begin to think about your staff needs. Again, this is even before you get to the stage of going after that grant. Okay, let's go to the next stage. The final stage of the nonprofit, or stage three, consists of the following. It is this stage we call the advanced stage. This is when you still have your organizational operation manual put together, your program development, what programs are you doing, what are those programs going to cost, are they best practice programs, and things of that nature. You have to have, as you begin to think about your program development, best practices and evidence-based pieces to your program development. Should be best practice and evidence-based. That's how you get funded. The next stage is thinking about your funding development stage. This includes grants, but it also includes earned income. This is that particular stage where you want to start to put together your business proposal and your strategic proposal for your nonprofit. Then you need to think about growing the nonprofit. What are the different steps that you put in the state to take to grow the nonprofit? Financial management is a key component to being funded. You have to have your financial management system in place. Keep in mind, we provide all of these services to the nonprofit. And then marketing, there's another important stage relevant to your nonprofit. How are you marketing your nonprofit so that people know who you are and that you exist? Public relationship is another key component to that. Is the staff that you have perceived by the community as a staff that's trying to help? So public relationship, that's one component of public relationship, which is all facets of public relationship when it comes to the nonprofit. And then the next stage is having an online presence. That includes using artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, to help you and get that online presence. That online presence includes social media as well, be it Facebook, Twitter, X, and all those other platforms that's out there. These are the three stages of a nonprofit, stage 1, 2, and 3. Again, we go back earlier to the fact that so many nonprofits fail within that first year because of not having these different stages in place. In addition to that, most nonprofits that operate beyond that year tend to be nonprofits that are basically volunteer based. They tend not to have a full-time employee and only some part-time employees. This approach takes you to the stage where you can be part of that 17% of nonprofits, Black nonprofits, that actually have at least one or more full-time employees. These steps lead you to that particular agenda. So let's talk about, now that we got an understanding of the stages of a nonprofit, now let's talk about what does the funder look for when they fund a nonprofit. This is when we get to the grant and nonprofit organization readiness. So what is it that funders consider when they fund your nonprofit? Make sure you take this down. First, they ask the question, what is your organization? What is your organization sustainable financial model? That's when we be talking about the business plan that creates earned income in addition to grants. Any organization that only depends on grants to survive will fail. Organizations that combine grants along with earned income, the initiative, and that is the initiative that includes starting different businesses that you actually get paid for that. Next is how is your organization different than another nonprofit? You have to start to explain to the funder the uniqueness of your organization compared to other nonprofits. This next step is very critical and crucial. It talks about what's the hard and soft data that supports your position of the need of the problem and your name of the need of the problem in your community. This is when we begin to talk about both the two most important types of research that you can bring to the table that funders consider when they fund. And so those research includes quantitative and qualitative research. That's from quantitative and qualitative research that you have to use. We teach a course on how to gather this data to make your claim. The other important tool is, what are your measurement tools that you're using? Are you using a logic model? Are you using a theory of change? Or what matrix are you using to show your success? Then you have to talk about, what's the reason for starting your nonprofit? Their value. What is your value statement as a nonprofit? This is critical. As a nonprofit, you want to be able to network, partner, and collaborate with other organizations. Although it's next to the last, it's by far one of the most important components, and that is accounting practice. How are you controlling the money to make sure it's being spent for what is supposed to be spent, and that you can account for every cent that's being spent? So what is it that funders look for? Well, they look for, is the organization approach plausible? Is it feasible? Is it sustainable? Is it sellable? And more importantly, is it fundable? So these are the different things that funders look for. I hope this workshop has helped you. We provide over 15 different types of professional training for nonprofits to take them to the level of where they need to be. So email us at the Center for Nonprofit and Community at gmail.com. Again, that's the Center for Nonprofit and Community at gmail.com. Or you can find us on the web at the web at Center for Nonprofit and Community Development.com. That's Center for Nonprofit and Community Development.com. We work with mom and pop operations that's just getting started and trying to figure out, how do you become an organization that can reach that stage actually being funded. So I hope this has been some information to you. And we offer very affordable prices to nonprofits and taking them to where they need to be at. I hope to be talking with you soon. My famous words is nonprofit rocks. What we do is work with nonprofits to fulfill their dream. For that mother that lost her son outside from gun violence, to the young child that died from cancer, to the person that looks at his environment and see all kind of poisonous substance, to those people that have experienced some type of pain and looking for a way that they can take that pain and make a change in the world. We work with individuals that are ordinary people doing extraordinary things. What we do in essence is to make them change makers or change agents. Whether you're that nonprofit that's just getting started in terms of what to start a nonprofit, or a nonprofit that has started and they're trying to find a way to increase your funding and build infrastructure for your organization.